what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for Jobs, or as a lot of people like to call it because they're funny, J-Obs, because if you don't know, the title used to be lowercase j, uppercase OBS for some reason. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is the movie about Steve Jobs, played by Ashton Kutcher in this film, which a lot of people were like, what? I mean, he looks like Steve Jobs when he was younger, but not many people thought Ashton Kutcher could pull it off. Now, did he? I'm not sure, but I'll tell you this, I was actually somewhat excited to see if he could pull it off, if the movie's going to be good, entertaining, very insightful, whatever. I was looking forward to it. So, what did I think of Jobs? Let's talk about the story. Alright, so the story for Jobs follows Steve Jobs, played by Ashton Kutcher, from 1974 all the way to 2001 when he announces the Apple iPod. And 1974 is where he pretty much got a group of his friends, which included Steve Wozniak, and pretty much made the first Apple in his parents' garage. And since then, he becomes more popular in the coming years. You follow him and his escalation in popularity, and of course his trouble with Apple itself and all the other people working for him, and how much of a complete douchebag, unlikable prick he was, which that's how they showed him in this film at least, and pretty much showed him as he just rose into becoming incredibly popular and the most popular, I guess, tech icon out there, I guess I would say. So it pretty much shows him in the first 27 years of his career. So that's pretty much the story. Nothing else to explain there. Now, one thing that really surprised me about the film is that they made Steve Jobs look like an asshole, which is great because from what I've heard, he was an asshole in real life. He was an asshole to his co-workers, his friends, just people in general. And that's great that they put that in this film, considering that it's still recently when he died. He died 2 years ago, and you would expect them to show him as kind of a nice guy, or at least a little bit of a nice guy. But no, for the most part, he's a douchebag. I mean, sure, he's a genius, but he's a douchebag. He's a revolutionary douchebag, still. And there's a lot of parts here where it's kind of cringeworthy how much of a douchebag he really is. But besides that, I really liked that part. I really did. But besides that, there's one part I really hated. The soundtrack, which surprisingly was manipulative. The movie shows him as a douchebag, and sure, he revolutionized technology, computers, whatever. And they show him as a douchebag, but then they show him like standing there, just quietly smiling, and just like, you know, he's standing there with his awkward posture and whatnot, and everybody's clapping and this sad music is playing, and you're supposed to like feel bad because he just recently died. And I do, don't get me wrong, but don't try to play this sentimental stuff and not give me something to make me actually like the guy for who he was. They didn't do that. That was kind of crappy in my opinion, and the soundtrack really just brought it down in my opinion. Now what brought it back up was the acting. I thought Ashton Kutcher surprisingly did a damn good job as Steve Jobs. I get it, he did a damn good job as Steve Jobs. Funny. But no, he did a good job. He really did. I thought he was very, very confident. He got the posture right. He looked like Steve Jobs, of course, as many people have said. And there is actually times where I was not blown away, but I was like, alright, I was blown away in the terms of Ashton Kutcher doing a damn good job as an actor. There's a part where he's talking to Bill Gates on the phone, and he's getting super angry, and you feel that. You feel him being angry, and he just like breaks the phone. You're like, oh man, I'm kind of scared of this guy. He's kind of a douchebag, and he's angry. He might hurt someone. But besides that, he is really good in this film. But who steals the show, in my opinion, is Josh Gad as Steve Wozniak. First of all, he's so likable in the beginning. He's very funny. He's very likable. And then later on, he actually becomes very sympathetic. And you really feel for him because he is Steve Jobs' friend. And even though Steve Jobs would screw him over a couple times here and there, he still does care for Steve. And there's a part where he just tells Steve off. And I thought really that was an amazing scene. It was very well written and very well acted. So I thought he was great. The rest of the supporting cast was great as well. So yeah, the cast here, for the most part, the acting was really good. The writing at times can get very generic, I will say, kind of hokey. But I did really, really enjoy this film. Even though I had problems, soundtrack, some of the unexplored stuff in his life, it did start to get a little bit boring. It was a little bit too long, and actually I would have loved to see a little bit more about him before 1974 and after 2001. I would have liked to see that, but you don't, sadly. But what they did show was good enough in my opinion. They did a decent job here. It's not amazing, but it could have been much worse. So I'm going to give this a 25 out of a 40. I did enjoy it for the most part. So definitely go check it out, rent it, or maybe go see a matinee, whatever. So there you go. There's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.